Hey everybody, this is Nikki,
And this is Tyler.
and we're Do Go On. So today we're doing our second episode of Smash Standby, and it is for Pac-Man.
Yas.
Awesome.
So since we don't want this video to be forever, we're gonna get right into it.
Let's do this.
Pac-Man, this is his first appearance as a playable character in the Smash series. He was revealed. When was he revealed? In the
I don't know. He was like
I don't remember. That
sometime
doesn't
before
matter.
the game came out.
Yeah. But real quick, I just want to point out that his trailer got so many people so hyped for him
Except
in the
for
game. Nikki hates Pac-Man.
I hate Pac-Man in this game. I don't hate Pac-Man. I just really hate the fact that he's in this game. Don't know why. I just do.
He won't ever give that up because he
sorry.
can't stand Pac-Man.
I'm sorry, people. I like Pac-Man. I just don't like him in this game.
Yeah. So Pac-Man is currently 39 out of 52 on the tier. A step up from our last character, Palutena. But still pretty low tier in relation to all the other characters.
But definitely better.
Yeah, definitely better. So starting off with his moves, his neutral special is Bonus Fruit. Bonus Fruit is an interesting move. He has a lot of options with this move. It is a projectile, and he can send out a bunch of different types of 2D sprites. And they vary in like speed and damage. For example, the Key does 15%, Cherry does 4%, and there's a Bell which has paralyzing properties. So if you want to be a good Pac-Man player, you really have to study which kind of moves, what does each thing with Bonus Fruit.
And I'm sure you guys are all curious. The other fruits are strawberries, oranges, apples, melons, Galaxians. Those Galaxians aren't fruits.
Galaxian is not a fruit.
I'm sorry, okay?
God.
But those are the other ones. So that brings us to his first custom, which is called Freaky Fruit. The fruit does, or Galaxian, or Bell, or Key, does less damage, but it's more erratic, so it goes around faster and stuff, but it's not quite as strong as the normal attack.
And also I want to point out something. Every single sprite that he uses in that move changed the amount of damage except for Melon. Melon does the same amount it does with Bonus Fruit, which is 12%.
Yeah, screw the Melon.
Yeah. And Lazy Fruit, not much to talk about. Probably his worst of the three. It's slower and does less damage, but it's on longer.
And something I found interesting is I was practicing with that earlier, and I found that his key, it moves slow, so if you hit someone, you can actually run up to it and grab it and throw it again if you want.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I tried that earlier. It doesn't...
Wow.
You can't throw it farther than normal. It just spins like right in front of you, but it does stay on the screen long enough for you to run up and grab it. So I found that pretty interesting. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so that would bring us to a side special attack. This default special is Power Pellet. It lets you control... It's his Power Pellet from the game, but it lets you control where it goes, and he follows it and does damage on the way, along the way.
Power Pellet grants him super armor, and it does quite a bit of knockback, so it's a good KO.
Yeah.
Move. He has Distant Power Pellet, which is pretty similar, but it's faster and has a farther range, but it is a little bit weaker.
And his other custom is Enticing Power Pellet. It's much slower, but it can and it's quite a bit stronger, but it also pulls in the opponents.
Yeah, Enticing Power Pellet's pretty interesting with how it works. Just for the fact that like you get sucked in and then you can like finish them off with the move itself.
It's pretty interesting.
Yeah, but the downside obviously is that it's much slower than the other two.
So it's much easier to get out of the way of or attack.
Yeah.
Yeah.
His up B, surprisingly, is actually a really good recovery tool, in my opinion. Pack Jump, it's pretty interesting. He goes on his 2D trampoline. And he does 3 bounces on the trampoline. Each one he gains more height, but he's helpless after the 4th bounce. Each bounce up does 7 damage, which is helpful for recovery to do damage in the first place. But mind you, it's not that much. But even so, the fact that it does damage. But the third bounce, the height he gains from that, even though it takes a while for him to get to that point, honestly, in my opinion, is quite worth it for recovery.
Yeah, and something else that's also interesting to note about that is if you have two Pac-Mans on the stage, I've never actually tried this, but I'm mentioning it. There, if you have two Pac-Mans, you can actually do it and jump up in such a way where you can just keep going over the height limit in the thing. So that's kind of interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think there's a name for that, but I don't know what the name
Yeah, Luigi can do that too. I don't know what it is though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, it's your turn. Sorry.
It is my turn. So his next one would be the Power Pack jump. He gets launched higher, and he can hit multiple times while he's rising. But instead of being able to bounce 2 or 3 times, gaining height each time, he only can jump once, and the trampoline automatically disappears.
Yeah. Not much to add for that. That's pretty much said everything.
It's not quite as useful as the normal pack jump for recovery, but it does more damage.
Yeah. And his final one is called Meteor Trampoline, which he doesn't gain as much height from this, but as the name implies, the fourth bounce does Meteor Smash. But honestly, this isn't that worth it to me because he doesn't really gain that much as a recovery from this. And honestly, if opponents know that you're using Meteor Trampoline, they're not that stupid and going to go jump on it, like thinking they're going to get a recovery.
Yeah, that'd be pretty difficult to, or not difficult, it'd be easy to avoid getting hit by that.
Which is why Meteor Trampoline is very rarely seen in competitive play.
Yeah, not very useful. Alright, so that brings us to his down special. His default down special is the fire hydrant. It's where he drops a fire hydrant down, and it produces water from the sides or from the top that don't do damage, though. But after you damage it enough, it's launched across the screen and does quite a bit of damage to anyone that it hits.
And knockback.
Yeah.
Also. And in total, the hydrant takes 13 total net damage to be able to launch. His first custom for his down B is the on fire hydrant. That's a clever name.
Interesting. That's so clever. Nintendo, I see
Shut
what
up.
you're doing.
Shut up.
Rude!
So he has the on fire hydrant, which is the same concept, but the difference, it switches out water with fire, as the name implies. The fire...
Gas.
Screw you.
Rude.
The fire does between 6 and 4%, which is pretty good.
6 and 4? Why not? Why wouldn't you say 4 and 6?
Between 6 and 4%.
You should feel bad about yourself.
Honestly, his custom variations for his down B aren't very notable.
Yeah. So his other custom for his down B is dire hydrant. Dire instead of fire. Anyways, there's not really anything to say about it except it explodes on impact, so that does some damage, but you can't obviously hit it to do more damage.
No, I'm kidding.
Rude. Okay, come on, bro.
Okay, let's get into the tilts. Pac-Man's forward tilt is an angled kick to the side.
His up tilt, he swings his head forward in an arc, just headbutting the opponent.
And point out, his up tilt can combo easily at low percents.
Yeah.
Like Palutina's neutral aerial. His down tilt is a sort of fast surprise attack where he turns into a 3D ball and just munches at the ground. The good thing about this attack is that it comes out extremely quickly and there's very little landing lag, so you can easily use it to rack up some damage.
Yeah, that's pretty useful, obviously.
Yes.
Yeah. Anyway, so his neutral aerial, he spins around in his ball form and does damage.
Okay. His forward aerial, out of all these moves, these aerials, his forward aerial has the least amount of lag. It has literally no lag at all. Like it's right in front of down tilt. Down tilt also has pretty like no lag, but forward aerial there's absolutely no lag, and it's just basically a kick forward.
Yeah. So his back aerial, he drop kicks behind himself. It's
his most powerful aerial if sweet spotted.
Yeah.
His up aerial is his mid-air move that he got in Pac-Man World 2. Not much to say.
And then his down aerial, he stomps multiple times down, just does damage multiple times.
Yes.
No, I meant to continue that sentence. I got lost in my thoughts.
I want to ask you a question. Did you play Pac-Man when you were a kid?
I did. I played Pac-Man World something. I think 2.
Yeah.
I don't know. I had a PlayStation 2, and I remember me and my parents, all three of us played, had like a different save file on that game. It was good times.
Yeah. The reason I ask is because I played it in arcades quite a bit, and I could never for the life of me remember the names of the ghosts in the game. And the reason I'm bringing this up is because we're about to talk about his smash attacks, which all involve his ghosts. And luckily, this game has sort of helped me remember the names. But when I was a kid, I was only like 4, 5, 6, so we didn't have the best memory back then. But now I can sort of redeem myself.
Yeah. I remembered the names. I just couldn't remember which ghost went with it, except for obviously Pinky, because pink.
Shut up. His forward smash, he shoots Blinky forward, and
rude.
It does 16%. But Blinky's a red ghost, and
Yeah.
it does 16%.
For his up, okay, that's enough. We're done with you. Okay, so his up smash, he shoots Inky, which is the blue one, up, and it's got some knockback and stuff, but it's a lag and stuff.
Yes.
Yeah.
So he does that. And his down smash, he shoots Pinky and Clyde to both sides. It's his least damage dealing smash at 13%.
And not very good knockback either.
Yeah. So, next, Nikki, why don't you talk about his stage entrance and his home battlefields?
Oh, I shall. So, his stage entrance, it's pretty awesome, I'm not gonna lie. He just kind of enters in his 2D form, and then at the same time, well, not at the same time, but after, he opens his mouth and jumps, and whenever he's landing, he turns into his 3D form, which is his fighter form.
Yeah, it's a pretty classic
motion
for him. And the battlefield?
So his home stage is, on the 3DS, his home stage is Pac Maze, and on the Wii U, it's Pac Land, which sucks.
It is. Pac Land is a terrible stage.
I think everyone hates it.
It should never be allowed to be talked about.
Kill it with fire.
Now moving on to Pac-Man's final smash, known as Super Pac-Man. He eats a power and a super pellet at the same time, puts them in his mouth, and he grows immensely in size.
Take them steroids.
And he becomes his classic 2D form. And you can control it around the stage, similar to Supersonic and some of the Mega Evolutions. You can control it around the stage at will. It does 15% every time you hit an enemy. It turns them into those eyes from Pac-Man.
Yes.
And
like
it throws them.
Ghost.
Yeah, it throws them a set distance away. It only kills though if your opponent's over 140% from the middle of the stage. So
but
it could be.
Yeah, if it's on the side, it's obviously better. I find it both good and bad because it's quite easy to dodge.
Yeah.
I played against a level 3 computer and I hit them maybe once. It's quite easy to dodge, but if you
level
can manage,
3.
Yeah. But if you can manage to hit, it actually does quite a bit, and if you're close enough to the edge, it can knock them off at decently low percentages, assuming you're, like I said, close to the edge.
Yeah. For both Palutena and Pac-Man being low-tier characters, they kind of redeem themselves with above-average final smashes.
Yeah.
So now moving on, as usual, some quick trivia, and then we'll get into the overall strategy for
Take it away,
Pac-Man.
man.
Pac-Man has the laggiest grab in the entire game, which is very bad for him because if he lands it, obviously he can pummel, do whatever combos. But if he misses, he is extremely vulnerable to any attacks because he shoots out the waves from Galaga. So if you can just walk right in, even while the waves are still like on screen, he has to get you right the second he does the grab. You can just walk right in front of him and still hit him. It's pretty terrible.
It's an awful grab.
Yeah. Pac-Man and Shulk are the only ones in the game without a green palette swap.
Don't worry, I tested it out. It's true.
Pac-Man's the only character who has 2 different head icons for each game. So he has a different one for 3DS than he does in Wii U.
Yeah.
He is the only character, besides the Mii Fighters, that continues to smile as he is drowning.
It's pretty entertaining drowning.
And finally, he's the only newcomer who has a trailer to show any footage from the 3DS version of the game.
Yeah, I find that pretty interesting.
Yeah.
You would think more would have it since that was the whole draw of this game, having 2 different versions, but no.
Exactly.
3DS isn't important enough.
Yeah. I think it's just because it's HD.
No.
It's better.
No.
Oh. Okay, now let's get into the overview of Pac-Man. Nikki, you want to start off? Some thoughts?
Sure. So, as I mentioned earlier, I do not like Pac-Man being in this game, but as a fighter, I actually quite enjoy him, just fighting as him. I personally think I'm decent as Pac-Man. Like I said in the last episode, I don't really like defensive characters as much, and I find him to be more offensive. He can get in there and do some damage. He's got the quick attacks like his down tilt and such that can make him pretty good to attack and not get attacked in the middle of that animation and stuff. So I find him to be pretty good.
Yeah, he has an above average combo ability too. He can easily combo and has a surprisingly easy time edge guarding.
Yeah,
with his back air and such.
Yeah, personally, I find he should be way higher than 39 on the tier.
Yeah. I think it's just because he relies way too heavily on his projectiles.
Yeah.
Because at least in tournament level play, those can easily be turned against him if you're against a skilled enough player.
Yeah.
He has a pretty safe dash attack, but pretty mediocre finishers, just similar to Palutena.
Yeah.
His finishing moves, although they can KO, they're not great, to say the least.
Yeah, that's quite true. Also something we forgot to mention earlier, it also goes along with the trivia type thing almost, but not really. If you can attack his Pac Dot before he can finish his attack, it actually falls as an item, and you can eat it to recover health, but it only recovers 2%, so it's not that helpful. But it's a good way to recover 2% health if you need to.
And a few last thoughts. He's a much better aerial player than he is a ground player, at least in my opinion.
Yeah, I agree.
But just how dependent he is on his bonus fruit and his fire hydrant really is one of the reasons why he's so low. Like, he is so dependent on his projectiles.
Yeah, that's true. Especially since his key is one of the best, and you gotta wait so long, it's hard to charge up to there. And so he doesn't even have very many good projectiles, even though he relies heavily on them, because the rest of them aren't near as good.
Mm-hmm.
Except the melon. The melon's pretty good.
Yeah, and
it travels quite far too, as we learned earlier.
Yeah, Pac-Man's just a pretty careless player. Most people play him careless.
Yeah.
So that's going to be it for this episode of Smash Standby. I hope you enjoyed. As usual, please like, comment, subscribe, and share with your friends. And we will see you next week for Ike from Fire Emblem.
Yay.
Not next week, next episode.
Yeah. Probably like in a day or something. You know, we're recording these pretty good.
Okay, so we got to end it here. So we'll see you guys later. Bye.
See ya.